Hello, welcome back to The Woman Experience. I am so glad you're here. If you're new here, my name is Edith and I create content about leveling up, growth, becoming a better version of yourself, just generally becoming that girl, becoming the best version of yourself. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. But also, if you know a girl or a woman who's on that journey to change, to just becoming better and doing better, please share with them and would love to have you on board. We are just around the corner to 2025. And I was having a conversation with someone about how in the last 6 months of 2024, I have done things that I have put off for the last 5 years. Like in the last 6 months, I have moved so fast and did things than the last 5 years combined. And the person was asking what changed. So I'm going to try and answer that question in the hope that if you're hearing from me and there are things that you want to change about your life, I'm still on that journey. By any means, I am not even there yet. I haven't begun to scratch the surface. But I feel there are things I fundamentally did this year that were slightly different from all the other years, because this channel was something I dreamt about for the last number of years. I'd never done it. And then also I did some other personal things that I'm really proud of. But I really want to focus on some of the mindset shifts and behaviors that I think genuinely contributed to me moving so much ahead. Because I genuinely feel that the last 6 months have been a game changer for me. And I will ride on some of these principles even in the next couple of years, because I think there's something there. So without much further ado, let's start. Number 1 is focusing on yourself. Actually, this is very counterintuitive when you hear it. The fact that when you focus on yourself, it feels like you're shutting everybody out. One of the things I did is most of the energy that I would use to look out for other people, follow them around, see what they were up to, or just really keeping up with a lot of details that were unnecessary. I stopped doing that. So what looking out for yourself means and focusing on yourself is finding things that only you can control, right? I know some of us are moms, some of us are married. That aside, I just set a huge amount of effort on also concentrating on the things that I enjoyed, things that mattered to me. So number 1, focus on yourself more. Spend some time with yourself more. If it's something that you can't control, if possible, leave it, because sometimes we end up so engaged in other people's affairs and in other people's happenings that you forget to focus on yourself. And why I was saying it's counterintuitive, because it feels selfish, like it's all about you. But trust me, as a mom, as a wife, you will still take care of those you love. But try to cut out anything unnecessary that's not serving you and put that energy back on yourself. What do you love doing? What gives you joy? Can you do more of that? What are the things that you wanted to pursue but you've never done? So I think I pursued myself relentlessly this year. And I think that was one of the things that was a mindset shift for me. And that was a huge one. Number 2 is cutting out unnecessary time and people. Now, this is a hard one. And I think I spoke about it in my another episode. But the thing is, because I was now trying to come back to myself and just spend a little bit more time with myself, I really became very strategic about how I was using my time, who I was connecting with, and when, and how much that time that it took. So there was a lot of just cutting out of if it wasn't something that was serving me or giving joy, and something where I did not need to be there. By the way, we are sent so many things and you're not even needed because you're just accustomed to being around people. So a lot of those events that I wasn't really needed, a lot of those events that could have gone on and my presence wasn't really needed, I cut off that time. So what ended up happening is that I was spending one time with myself, but I was also just spending a lot of time with my mind and just thinking about how I want to move in the next couple of weeks. So social interactions significantly reduced, and if it wasn't filling my cup, I was not going to be there for that event. So I think that was a huge one for me. The other one, I'm just reading from my phone because I didn't want to forget, is I want to say, I don't know what word to use, but I want to call it strategic silence. Why strategic silence is important is that sometimes when we want to build something, when you want to start crafting or nesting something that matters to you, sometimes we make the mistake of telling everybody, and in the telling everybody, we are wasting precious time. It takes away the punch of what you want to do. And so what happens is that you don't end up doing it, or there are so many other voices telling you how you should create that thing. So for me, when I started my YouTube channel, it's not that I was hiding it from everybody, but I wanted to create that space and time for me to start creating something before I told others. And I think what that gave me and my creative team is just time to start building on something. Because I want people telling me, don't do this, or have you thought about this? Or, the YouTube space is saturated, or, there are so many other voices on YouTube. I just started because I was strategic about who I told. And then when I started, a couple of videos in, I told a number of friends. And even now, I haven't told, everyone that knows me. So I think why this is important is that it just incubates your dream, your vision. So you don't have to keep telling everybody your next step, your next move. It's not that you don't want to. It's just that you don't want those external voices that bring doubt, that bring fear, that bring, you start thinking, oh my God, what am I trying to do? Because people will share feedback with you depending on where they are in their life. And I didn't want that. So that was a huge part of me. And I remember when I told those who are, close friends and family, they were like, oh wow, you actually went ahead and started. This is so amazing. And so there wasn't that a lot of voices in the beginning. And I think that's something we need to embrace more. Not from a point of lack mentality, but it's a point from understanding that you don't want those external voices. You just want to start. So I would say that strategic silence, where you build and build and build, and then let people know once you're already building something. I hope that was helpful. The other thing that I did is I just started being around the few people I was around with. I made sure it was people that were adding value. Now, I would say it's more surrounding yourself with positive voices and influence. So it could be friends, it could be family. It could also be if you're feeling that in the spaces you are in, you want to do better. We don't talk enough about how in the online space, there's also a lot of positive voices. Like in my car, I'm always listening to something uplifting. I'm always listening to other women who are on the YouTube space and talk about amazing things about growth and how you can tap into your growth and become better. So find ways where you're constantly hearing uplifting, forward-moving, affirming voices. That is so important, by the way, because what happens is that you are now tapping into like a frequency of just moving forward and growth. So it's whether it's your friends, family, just be careful to surround yourself with people with positive voices. Not to mean that they can't give you good feedback. Actually, positive voices give the best feedback. They challenge you in a better way. So it's not that it's all kumbaya and nothing is failing, but they push you to be better because they are positive, because they are invested in your growth. So make sure, find out who that person or people are. And I think that was so important because they allowed me to flourish, build this channel, do other things. And it was a give and take. And because, again, like I said in a previous video, you invest your time as well in these spaces. So choose them wisely. So I think that was another one. Just surrounding yourself with positive voices and influence. The other one is I reached out and started asking people for the thing I wanted. I cannot state this enough. You cannot be there with your dream, with your goals, with your vision, and you've never even gone to the experts or people in that field or someone who could help you. So if you want to start a business, have you talked to someone in that line of business? Have you gotten some contacts? Have you tried to ask about what it is that you want to do? And I feel this is a huge one because apart from having it, we all need someone or some form of place to start, right? And the thing is, I just went ahead and started telling people what I wanted, and they connected me to people who would help me. So that's the other thing. Just start asking people with the thing you want now. I'm looking at you in the camera. I don't know what it is that you want to start. You're there. It's the end of 2024, girl. And you've been telling people for weeks, for months, I don't know for how long you're going to do this thing. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to do that course. I am going to... This never-ending cycle of just saying and not doing. Start reaching out and reaching out to the critical people. Even if it's people you're not comfortable with and they're going to take you to the next level, you need to do that because that already is the beginning of doing something different. So whether it was people who understand the area you're in, like for me, the YouTube one, I don't know how to edit videos. I got connected to people who could help me edit, people who could help me think of creative spaces. So you have to just start connecting with people. And they're usually those that you haven't connected with because now you're doing something new. The other thing I did is that, oh my God, I could talk about this for ages. I moved with speed. Moving with speed means getting an idea. Don't worry about whether it will fail or not. Execute, and then after the execution, you decide whether you will continue with the idea. So much time is lost in the nitty-gritty of not trying to be busy with other things and not moving with speed. People are out here winning because they are moving with speed, and you and your idea are here because you haven't moved an inch. So everything I move with speed. As soon as I had an idea for a video, I shot it. I will not care about what other people think. I will sit down and I shoot a video. If we decided on a shooting time or on anything that the channel needed, I moved with speed and just made it happen. So if you don't do that, nothing else will change. So please move with speed, not with recklessness, but with the speed and the urgency that you don't have time. I've also spoken about this in my earlier videos. So that's the other thing that I think I did. The other thing was accountability. I don't know what form of accountability for you makes you to pay attention, but you need to find out what it is. For me, a lot is pegged on shooting this content, making sure it's edited. So if I fail other people. There's a whole ecosystem I have to think about before we shoot an episode. And so all of the ducks have to be aligned in a row. And so accountability for me was that because I was using money for this kind of content, then I had to show up. What's your form of accountability? Is it your family because maybe you want to build a house, or maybe you want to, I don't know what it is for you, but find something that is huge enough for you to wake up and start executing. For others, it's like you want to travel the world. What needs to make that happen? Maybe you need a job. So find some form of accountability, something that makes you shoot up straight out of bed and be like, this has to happen, and something that is incentive enough that it pushes you to just do. For some people, it's friends who can be really good accountability partners who remind you, you said you were to do this, but it's months later, have you done it? So accountability was a huge one for me. The last thing was, I think, just following my passion. One of the things that I have learned in the few episodes I've shot in interaction with friends, acquaintances, let your heart speak more often, especially in unlocking the things that you want to unlock. We are in a society where goals are very metric driven. It's very numbers and goals and this. But for the first time, let your heart speak to you. What is the thing that you've always wanted to do, that you know if all circumstances were right, you would do it? Then go ahead and do it. Because when you do things from like the abundance of your heart and the gifts and the passion that God has given you, your cup never runs dry. It's like a never-ending tap. So I feel like I really tapped into myself and I was like, this thing has been on my heart for years. I know it will be work, but then I have all that's needed. So I think we are not talking enough about, and passion is not all rosy. It takes a lot of work sometimes to just be on this set and talk to the camera. It will require you to dig deep and go to parts of you that are exhausting, tiring, financially, you have to maybe cough up money. But what's your passion? So follow your passion more. So I hope that was helpful. I think that was everything. So yeah, a lot of just silence, strategic silence, being accountable, following my passion, reaching out and asking people to help, positive voices, moving with speed. And I feel like it's been a lesson in the provision of God's abundance, that He will see you through and you have what it takes. And if you're listening to me, I hope in 2025 we can do some really good content on how to start the year strong. But if you can't start now, employ a bit of those principles. If people don't need to know, you don't need to tell them. Talk to the ones that will help you build something. And then people will come along with you. Positive voices and all of the things I've mentioned, moving with speed. Let me know how that goes, because my mission is to create a platform and a space where women feel seen, they feel valued, and you're able to reach your highest potential. And we'll do a bit of that next year and hopefully, help some women unlock, the next phase of their lives. But until then, I really wish you happy holidays. We'll take a slight break from filming because it's family time. It's time for us to reset. It's time for us also on the channel to think about what kind of content we want to bring you next year, and we'll do so from like mid-January or end there without fail. But we need time to recalibrate and think through a few things, and then we will start again. Late January or early February. But thank you so much. Please do share, like, subscribe, and we'll keep having conversations. But until then, happy holidays and see you in 2025. Bye.